Welcome, welcome, everyone. I am so excited to have another guest here with me that was referred by another guest that's ready to rant and rave and review with me. This is Roundy's Rants, Raves, and Reviews. I'm your host, Tanya Roundy, and I have with me Shannon Coulter, but do you go by SS or is that just your
That's my pen, so
pen
please call
name?
me Jonathan.
Okay,
Yes, yes.
excellent. I was like, should I call you?
You call me anything.
Should
Yeah.
have asked that before we started. I was like,
All
wait a second.
right.
But she is so excited to be here with me too, because we've already started ranting and raving about some things. So we're going to have a great conversation and also share her work and what she's doing. So Shannon, tell me a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Yes. So I'm excited to be here because before we started recording, we were talking about how Utah is leading the charge in a lot of things with kids and technology, but specifically not letting kids have their phones during school, which I think is so wonderful for not only the parents and the teachers, but for the children. And so my sole focus is really helping people have a better relationship with technology and making the technology our servant versus our master, because it's become the master. And the group I'm really interested in is the children, because it has shown to just do horrible things to their brain. And I actually started this campaign in 2008 when I met, a long time ago, 18 years ago. I'm a stepmom. I met my stepkids when they were 4, 8, and 10. And I told them to go out and play because that's what I knew. And they did not know what to do.
Oh, no
And
kidding.
they came in 5 minutes later and they said, Miss Shannon, we don't know what to do. And I was because I was thrown into being a mom, I was completely caught off guard and upset by it because it wasn't gradually happening. It was just there. So I started looking into it, and they were determining like they're stuck on these screens. Now, this is before the smartphone, if you can believe
Yeah, I
it.
was gonna say that was just barely when like the flip phones were coming out. We were just
Right.
getting the
Yeah.
internet. I
The
mean,
iPhone came out in 2010. So this was 2008. So the iPhone
right.
selfies and all that craziness
Yeah.
didn't even hit yet, but their brains, now we know. So back then when I started doing this, people were like, "Oh, they'll be fine." And I said, yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. So now fast forward to today, and there's all sorts of stuff coming out showing that, hey, this is not just a thing that takes their attention. This is actually reshaping their brains and rewiring their brains. And so the beautiful thing is something I started 2008, 18 years ago, is now finally taking traction, and people are saying, hey, we need a way out of this. And so what I've developed over all this time is books and resources and tools that I used with my kids to help them not get stuck on technology. And the thing that is so important to me, and I've been speaking about this for such a long time, but I finally can say to you like why this was such a big deal to me, is because when I look at my childhood and I think about my childhood, and I'm sure everybody who's listening, you'll hear me say this, and I can't imagine you're not going to go, oh, yeah. There's no part when I shut my eyes and think about the most important things and the best memories, none of them are on a screen. Now,
Mhm.
I'm not saying I didn't see awesome movies and I didn't play Nintendo with my friends and all of that stuff, but I found such a joy, and I still do find such a joy thinking about those times, when you were running around playing tag and you're scared and all this is going on, and you have the best time at camp, or, you can't believe this is happening and all these exciting things are going on. And we're taking that away from our kids.
Mhm.
And it's the only time in your life that you ever get to be like that. Now even, and I hate to say it, it is, but it's true. Even when I love to pray. I love to go on walks. Even when I'm in those moments when I am connecting with God, or outside having the sun on my face, all these little things come into your brain, right? You have to literally train yourself not to do it.
Mhm.
When you're a little kid, you're not worrying about the bills or the emails or any
Right.
of that stuff. And so that was the other thing, is I was sitting there going, technology was supposed to make things so much easier. We're supposed to have more time. We're supposed to be doing this. And I found myself even back then busier because I'm always with my laptop, always on my phone, blah, blah, blah. But I'm sitting there going, I have to do this now because I'm an adult. You should not be confronted with that stuff when you're a little kid. You just
Right.
shouldn't.
Yeah. You're not.
Everything should be sunshine and rainbows, literally.
Yes. running around with your imagination going wild. And
Yes.
I was loving when you were talking about that because I remember making mud pies, playing
Mhm.
circus. We had the hula hoop could become like 20 million different things.
Yes.
And
Yes.
playing it with my brothers and sisters, or even by myself, just coming up with all sorts of things that were
I
just so
love
incredible.
I love that you just said by yourself
Yes.
because that's just really shows and the hula hoop thing. The amount of stuff we could turn things into is incredible, and we're taking that away from our kids, and then when you take that away from them, you take their ability to problem solve, to
Hmm.
be resilient, to, use critical thinking. That's like when people are looking at this, a lot of times like, "Oh, it's just play." No, you cannot grow into a well-adapted adult without interaction and play because
Right.
you don't know. I mean, we see so I am upset that I missed out on Gen Z. So Gen Z is my kids and I couldn't, like I said, and it's fine. I couldn't get people to listen, to really feel like
Hmm.
this is going to be a problem. Well, now we have this whole group of people, and I'm proud to say my kids are doing really well because I was so on top of them with this, but
Hmm.
I still let them on the screens more than I wish I had because I didn't realize it was actually rewiring their
Hmm.
brains, right? But good news is brains can rewire. It
It
happens
can.
for everybody. It's awesome.
Yep.
So even though they had that issue, and we're seeing a lot of Gen Zs, and I'm picking on them just because they were the first group of people to go through puberty on the
With
smartphone
it. Right.
with it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so we look at them, and a lot of people give them a hard time, like, oh, they're rude or they're this, that, and the other thing. No, they're not. Their brains missed out on the training it needed. And
Hmm.
so when they walk into a room, when they get on an elevator, all this stuff, they're literally anxious because of how their brain is wired. It got wired for sitting in front of a screen, fast, rewards, dopamine hits. So when they get into these other environments, they literally don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And I want people to hear that we cannot do that to another generation.
Mm. Well, and it even has redefined what education is. Because now they're like,
Mhm.
you need to put it in small bites for them. You need to make it entertaining. Like, why are we changing it to fit what we know is not great for them instead
Yeah.
of training them how to cope? Because, like you said, they're not learning how to adjust. They're not learning how to be uncomfortable and be okay with being uncomfortable
And being bored.
and being bored.
Mhm.
And just, I mean, my granddaughter, when she was with us like several times, she's like, I'm bored, Grandma. I'm like, great. What are you going to do about
That is the
it?
place where you have the most creativity.
Right? I'm like, figure out something to
Good.
do. We've got colored pencils, we've got crayons, we've got dolls, you've got activities, or we can cook, or we can do something together. But sometimes I can't do it. So you've got to figure out how to be bored and be okay with doing this.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to just not have something going constantly
Right.
in
And
front
then
of them.
people get upset about that and blame the children. And I mean, I'm not placing blame on anybody, but we think, oh, this is a bad kid or this, that, and the other thing. No, they are addicted to that feeling of reward dopamine. And so when you take the screen away or when you put them in these environments where they're bored, that would be like taking beer away from an alcoholic and expecting them to be
Hmm.
okay right
The
away.
withdrawals. Yeah.
It's withdrawal. And so we've got to understand. So I always say in the tools I provide is I'm giving something else for them to do so
Hmm.
that they have an alternative. So, like, instead of, I'm going to use the alcohol again because it's an easy one. Instead of coming home at 5 o'clock and drinking a glass of wine, you're like, no, what I really need to do is unwind. I'm going to take a bath. I'm going to go for a walk. You're just replacing it with another relaxing thing that's better for you. And when you feel better from that, we tend to go toward the thing that feels good. That's just what we do.
Hmm.
So with the children, I'll just kind of give one of the things. I have an activity app coming out. Sounds completely counterintuitive,
Right.
but it's an app for parents that gives them hundreds of outdoor activities or offline activities at their fingertips. So
Uh-huh.
kid comes and says, I'm bored. And they said, here is an activity and it's tied to points.
Hmm.
So give them that activity so they do have something to do. But the beauty here is, and they're doing it because it's fun, but also they're going to get points, they get rewards and all this stuff. But as they're doing it, that's when the brain's going to rewire.
Hmm.
And so the more we give them those activities, the more that part of their brain gets practiced, the less you're going to need to entertain them. And that's
Right.
kind of the idea behind it. But it's like swapping one thing for the other, just helping you as a grandma go, okay, fine. I'm going to give you 200 FOSSA points for doing these three things. And they're like, oh, I'm going to do it. So that's kind of one of my tools.
I was
But
gonna say it turns your phone into a tool for doing things rather than again mastering you. Like, yeah, and putting it
absolutely.
control.
And great segment, or
I
it's
was gonna
like
say segue right there.
segment. Yeah, segue because that is another thing is I want our kids to see us using technology as a tool as well. So
Right.
if they can grab the app, get something, put it down and do something productive, because
Mhm.
I have no problem if children are on screens a little bit. We just have to really reduce it. But when they're on them, if they're doing something productive, because there's a huge difference between going on YouTube and watching a recipe and then repeating the recipe, than going on YouTube for 3 hours doom scrolling.
Right. Or
Yeah.
TikTok or
So,
the Insta or whatever it is, their
whatever.
thumbs are going and they're not even seeing or processing anything.
It's just because one of the things that I learned, and you probably know this, but I will share it because it's so interesting to me, is
Mhm.
that exact thing that you just said, like it's scroll, 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 and you don't even process what you're watching. They developed that purposefully
Mhm.
because it takes away our natural stopping cues and we lose track of time. And they developed that based on rat experiments. And they called in these behavioral psychologists on perfect to the tech companies. I've done all the research and they did it on purpose because we don't know then when to stop.
Right.
And everything behind the phone is developed like that, the colors, the noises, everything. So if I'm talking and people are going, oh, I'm addicted, we all are. It's
Mhm.
something that they're making us use that's addictive. It's like, trying to quit eating dessert and having it all over your house.
Right.
It's very difficult. And so we're trying to make ourselves better with these things. One of the things I have is coaching for adults. I want to tell you how this thing is designed to do to you what it's doing, because to me, it will make you so mad. You're not going to want it to have control over you. Because doesn't that just upset you? I mean, they even picked red for the dots.
Mhm.
A lot of people have turned it off, but when you get a notification that used to have the red dots,
Mhm.
red is the most urgent color to us, and
Mhm.
we biologically need to clear it.
Mhm.
They did that on purpose.
Yeah. Well, I remember years ago watching it, and it's still so relevant today. It was a PBS video they did on persuasion and how
Wow.
companies spend billions of dollars to research for ads and commercials and politics and everything, the effect it has on us to get us to buy things, to be persuaded.
Mhm.
Whether it has, I mean, car commercials that have nothing to do with the car,
Right.
all these things. But in the last several years, well, and that's what Utah's been finding and researching and suing the tech companies for. And I think there's just actually a ruling that came down from Texas and California against the tech companies on their addiction things and how they are
Oh,
purposefully doing this to do this. And they know how damaging it is to kids and they're still doing it.
oh yeah. If you compare big tech to big tobacco, they're following the same
Exactly.
exact playbook.
Yes.
100%. They know it's bad for the kids. They've hidden the research. They've been sued. They've gone to Congress. They don't care. They
Yeah.
literally do not care. They know that Instagram is horrible for teenage girls. They have the research. They just bury it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think they should be held accountable, or we are going to have to lock arms as a nation and just demand that our kids are not on it. Now, I know a lot of people are upset about that, and I will go into this as a rant, but and I understand the opposite argument. So there's an argument that I know Australia just passed that kids cannot have social media till 16. I think that's great. But there's this counter argument that's like, oh, if they can't have it and you have to digitally prove who you are to show you're an adult, then they're going to have the digital thumbprint of you. I don't want that either. I
Right.
do not
Yeah.
want that either. I do not know what the solution here is, but I do think it's okay. And they're also worried that kids won't be able to go out and find alternative information from their parents, from the mainstream media. Totally on board with that. But you can let your kids sit on a laptop or on a desktop in your kitchen and watch what they're doing. That's what we did. It's when they've
Exactly.
got the internet in their pocket and they're in their room and some predator is coming after them, or they're
Hmm.
scrolling, or they're posting pictures of themselves or getting naked pictures of other people. You've got to watch your kids. It's our job.
Yeah.
So, and then I love using this, but if they do sneak and they get something and they're sneaking, let them know they're sneaking. And if they get caught, they're going to be in deep trouble. That's part of childhood.
Well, parenting.
It's called parenting. Well, and I know you did it and I did. I did naughty things and I knew they were naughty. So I knew I was crossing a boundary. I knew I shouldn't be doing it. And I knew if I was going to get caught, I was going to get trouble. And when I did get caught, I got in trouble. Kids need to know that stuff.
Hmm.
I'm
Part of
not trying to
also
be, it's part of
boundaries.
it's part of boundaries. So, I mean, we'll have to figure all of that out, because I do understand the argument like, oh, the digital thing. Oh my gosh, I don't want that on me. So I don't know how we do that. But one thing that's so easy to start is what Utah's doing in the schools.
Yep.
Because by taking the phone away or putting the phone and wherever they're putting it from get there to leave, when those kids have their phone, so I haven't been in school forever. I'm not a teacher like you, but I can just envision if you're on your phone, you don't get the time at the lockers, you don't get the passing things, passing hallway conversations, you don't get the before and after class. That was the best part of school.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it all happened. That's where flirting happened and, making plans with your friends and doing all that stuff. That this generation with their phones is just got their head buried.
They sit next to each other and just text.
And they
person next to them. I'm like,
I know. Okay. I don't even understand, like literally. But we can say, like, why do they do that? I'm telling you they do that because they don't have the part of their brain wired to feel comfortable looking at the person in the eyes. This is all a downward spiral. But people could be like, oh, Tanya and Shannon are just, upset about this. No, like I want people, and I love that we're having this rant, but I want people to think about yourself, especially in middle school and high school, and how much fun the hallways were, how much fun locker time was.
Yeah.
And if you get the little happiness from that, imagine not having that. And that's what we're doing.
They have to learn social skills somewhere. And they're like, well, they have anxiety. Well, guess what? They're not going to learn not to have social anxiety. They're not going to learn how to interact if we allow them to escape.
Well, and I will say the anxiety is coming from the phone.
Exactly. And that's the other part is it's actually making it worse.
It's making it worse because of the constant dopamine hits. Well, it's not the dopamine. Let me correct that. It is think about yourself as an adult. You get yourself on all of these places you're socially comparing yourself to people. So there's that. There's the stuff that's coming at them that they should not have to know about, at least not 24/7. I like to use the Challenger from 1986, was it?
Yes, it was.
Yeah. So we all experienced it together as one, and it was horrible. Imagine that being every hour on the hour.
Right.
That's their life.
Bombardment of all this information and the negative information, constant too.
Constantly.
Positive.
Plus, their brains are on constant alert from the sounds, the dings, the pings. That makes the part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, cannot calm down, can't regulate. All of these things are contributing to the anxiety.
Yeah.
So, like I said, it's this bad, vicious downward cycle that on the other side of it, you get them interacting, you get them playing. That part of their brain is going to become the 6-lane highway, and the other part's going to be the weeds. And they'll feel better. We just have to make the transition and get through they don't like me right now. Well, that's, like you said, that's parenting.
Get over it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and a lot of the argument in Utah for parents was like, well, that's our job. Like, great. But at the same time, you can't be with them all the time. And while you might be trying your best as a parent to do, or some parents aren't, whatever it might be, or they feel it's better for the kid to have more or whatever, we know what the companies are doing and it's still bad. We wouldn't let our kids go out and smoke and drink just because we're like, well, that's my job as a parent. We still hold the companies accountable.
Yes. I actually have said, like, handing your kid a smartphone, you might as well hand them like a cigarette. It's the same thing. We know how bad it is for them now. So what is the argument with the parents? Like, they're saying that,
well, the parents should be in charge. The government shouldn't be the ones dictating, when they can have their phones. The worst part is in school, half the time, it is the parent using the phone to contact their child and texting them.
Okay. And I have a rant about that.
First, let's go. Yes.
Your kids need time without you to figure out who they are. But second, I know one of the things that makes people upset is, what if there's a school shooting? Well, let me tell you, is it better for your kid to be looking at their phone, trying to talk to you, or eyes up on the teacher who's been trained in that?
Right.
You're 10 times safer if they're listening to the teacher and moving than they are trying to get information from you who are freaking out.
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
and often we're locked down in the room. Their phones are in the room. They can grab their phone at that point. I mean, I think it's like, that would be an extreme situation where we can.
It's extreme, but that's, they're always use the little extremes. But to me, it's like, it's better for the kids to be eyes locked on you.
Exactly. We've got to take care of the situation, not worried about the phone and worrying about this. We should be worried about that moment and keeping you safe, not contacting a parent.
And the other thing is, in the research I have done regarding the tech companies, and you said the parents, like, that should be our job. You don't stand a chance, mom and dad, because a
No.
lot of people think it's mom and dad's fault that this stuff is happening. No, you have 1,000 engineers on the other side of the phone working against you who know
Hmm.
how to manipulate you.
Hmm.
So even if you're the best parent in the world, your child is dealing with an addictive device.
Yeah.
And
And
it's,
they'll do what they want. Oh, I lost you. Oh dear. Oh, there you're back.
here
Okay.
we are. Yes.
Addicted on the other side, working against us. That's where we kind of left off. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I was just saying, like, it's almost too much to ask it to be like you brought up the cigarettes. The cigarettes were so addictive. Once you get that into somebody's hand, they purposely made them to make you crave more, want more, smoke faster. The whole thing was on purpose. Think of the smartphone as the same way. It's on purpose.
and then they think they're the solution too, because notice that all of the alcohol companies, all of the drug and pharmaceutical companies, even the smoking company, they make the anti or the cure or the,
Oh, you're right on top of it.
oh my
Absolutely. And
gosh.
it's fake.
Yeah.
The light cigarette, it wasn't any better for you.
The vape,
Yeah.
that was a
Vape,
help.
not any better for you. And
In
on
fact,
with the
worse.
cell phone, they've got the, parental devices, which there's some good ones that can keep your kids off of stuff, but the ones where you've got the screen
Limit
timeout,
or, yeah.
that's testing your willpower.
Hmm.
So you might as well have a glass of wine and just put a little thing over it and have it open there and just be like, I'm not going to have it tonight. No, if you have a problem, you're going to go have it.
Right.
So they're all baloney. Yes, like it's too much. This cannot be based on your willpower. Cause I like to say willpower is only strong in the morning. The more tired you get, the willpower's out the window.
It's true.
Yeah.
By the
Yeah.
end of the day, it's gone.
It's gone. So it is. So 100%, if you want to know what big tech is doing, look at big tobacco. It's the same play. And if you, for some reason, do not think that these companies would do that to us, it's all about money. That's all they care about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Big food,
So
big pharma, all that.
all of it,
Yeah.
100%. And we need to. So knowing that, knowing what they're doing to the drugs, to pharma is what I mean, to the food, all that stuff, don't let them do that to your kids through their phones. And that's really my drive because I know most parents would do anything for their kids. So
Mhm.
we need to work together to protect their childhood and their innocence.
Yeah.
And, and I think one of the most important things, and we kind of touched on this earlier, but I think one of the most important things in the world is to let children's imagination grow in innocence, because then you get to know who your kids are, what's important to them, and who God made them to be. Because you might have 3 kids and you get one that's going to be a firefighter, one's a stay-at-home mom, and one's a doctor. And you can sit there as the parent being like, oh, I don't know if they're going to, if this is going to be successful. You'll know it's successful because it's success to them.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So it doesn't matter what it looks on paper, it matters what it means to them. So I just think there's
It
so many different things that are important with this.
it also gives the kids time to figure out who they are without all the noise too. Because I think
Yeah.
they are so surrounded by so much, they don't know how to figure out who they are.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we can't
So
help
how,
them figure out who they are. We can't know who they are when they don't even know and have time to figure out and be okay with not being knowing who they are and all these things telling them what to be and kind of
yeah.
looking
Well,
forward.
and the other thing that drives me crazy is that because of social media and because of how quickly someone can become famous, fame has been removed from greatness.
Oh yeah.
And so when you let your kids out there, they are seeing people who are famous because of very stupid things. And I will say stupid.
Yes,
They're
they are.
famous for a sex tape. They're famous for doing like a stupid prank. And
Mhm.
that's what they're famous for. And your kids are idolizing these people.
Yeah.
Versus when we were young, the famous people were famous because they did something incredible, usually, and they were excellent.
And something to look up and aspire to try
Yeah.
and go beyond and above.
And now our
And
kids are aspiring to be influencers, and influencers can be some of the worst people that there are.
yeah,
So that's kind of what I think you were saying was what
yeah,
I got on this topic
yeah.
is like they can't even figure out who they are because they're hearing, well, your hair has to look this way and your lips have to be this way and you got to talk like the no, Just be you.
Hmm.
Yeah. And
And
I
figure
also
out
think
who that is.
figure out who that is. And I also think, parents, you're letting the internet raise your child. They need to know what you think about things, what your values are. They might split from it when they get older, but this
Mhm.
is your chance to help mold a soul.
Right.
So
And
there's all these different reasons. Yeah.
read a book, read lots of different books with different things, have conversations around the dinner table, talk about what's going on as a family. I mean, all those things that can help them understand and have values and things like
Yeah.
that.
And a lot of the things you just said, I know people hear that and like, oh, it's so hard. It's so hard. Parenting is hard. It's
Yes.
not easy, but it gets a lot easier if your kids have an imagination muscle that's big and they can actually entertain themselves without you. That's what we're going for. But there's going to be a harder transition if you're taking the phone away from them, but they will get there because we were there and we're no different than they are.
And it's easier too when you're having those conversations because you know what's going on and you know what's happening and because then you're
Hmm.
and they're so busy now. They're running from this to this and I
Oh,
know
no.
so many things, but it's like, dude, even if you just sit down and have a meal together once a week
Yeah.
and get to have that conversation and be together, you're going to have a better relationship and you're going to also develop those skills that they need to balance
Yeah.
life in some way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You said something there too that I was like, oh, I got to go on another rant. But for real, our kids are too scheduled as well.
Mm.
And that scheduling, so this really started bothering me this summer. So I was seeing the kids, they get out of school and their parents let them have like 3 days and then they're into this camp and this camp. And I'm like, what happened to summer?
Yeah. I don't even get it. Like, it's just,
What'd you
yeah.
say?
I don't get it either. It's like, dude.
Yeah, what happened to summer? Because the kids, like that was the best part. You had, the 3 months of summer where maybe you had one camp, but now it's like school just turns to camp. And if you're constantly in scheduled programming, you again are not learning who you are. I think we
Mhm.
need to like nip that in the bud, like, and stop doing like, oh, you can only play soccer because you might be the 1%. I think that's even high that makes
Yeah.
it.
0.01%, maybe. Yeah.
0.01% that makes it. And also, if you play the same sport over and over again when you're growing up, that is going to screw up your little body.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes, you need to like use all different things. Oh man, we have a lot of work to do, people.
I remember when, as my mom would have us, we would have an hour rest time in the middle of the day where we were to read or have quiet and stillness. But the other times where we were baking and cooking with her, we were gardening and we had chores and we were out and playing and, doing things. And when we got older as teenagers, we might have like an activity or a club or something we were a part
Yes,
of,
yeah.
but it wasn't taking up our entire
That's what it's taking up the
day.
entire day. And that's so I am not screen free and I'm not like sports free, but everything in
Balancing.
moderation, everyone.
And that's the key, moderation, right?
Moderation of all of this. And let's just calm down because why push your kid? I mean, these kids are like, I've got to choose between lacrosse and football because why? Just play both.
Yep. Have some fun.
Have some fun. I think we need to all have some fun. I actually think that's really what we need to do. It's just all have some
I'm
fun.
down for it. Let's have some fun.
Let's
Love
have
that.
some fun. Yeah.
It's too crazy. Well, with all of this, you have been doing some things to try and help parents
Yes.
within this. So tell me about some of the things you've been doing that you've created to help parents and grandparents and anyone at large help us
Anyone at
deal
large.
with
Yeah.
this. Yes.
Yeah. So I created a company with my husband back in 2008, but I'll just tell where it is now. So we came up with a company called the Planet Fossa, and Fossa is fun activities, stories, service, and awards. So when you enter that planet, that's where you're going. Where did Fossa come from? I have a series of children's books, and the main character was my cat Mufasa. I changed it to Fossa so Disney wouldn't come after me.
I was gonna say it to
Watch out.
you.
So
Yep.
so I created those books because back when I looked at the books in 2008, they were so dumbed down
Hmm.
to the children. I just couldn't stand it. It was so upsetting to me and it just was an insult to children. So
Hmm.
I started writing these books and they're based on the cats and dogs my husband and I have loved throughout our lives, but I made them very rich. The stories let's say the story is 20 pages, then you've got 60 more pages of activities, questions, plot twist, all sorts of stuff, because I wanted the dollar to go farther. Like instead of paying like $5.99 for like 3 pictures, I was like, no, let's get this to be something that the parents can really get into with the kids. I give lessons in it and then talking points. So as I said before, mom and dad can give their values,
Mm-hmm.
explain how they want it. So that's the idea behind the books. There's coloring pages, hidden pictures, like highlights, all that stuff. Then to go along with it, when I started with my kids, they would come in and I really was trying to compete with the screens. And I'd go on Google. There was Google and Pinterest back then. And I was so overwhelmed with the amount of information. And I know that's even worse now.
Oh yeah.
So the amount of information, nothing was organized. A lot of the women on Pinterest at the time were perfect. I'm like, yeah, I can't do that. Can't compete with that. And they'd have like 20 materials I'd have to go get. And I'm like, I just want something now easy that I can do using stuff around the house because that's better for the imagination anyway. So what I did, I came out of corporate America. I did wellness programs and I knew how much points and rewards drive people. And I also
Mm-hmm.
mind, heart, and body makes a full person. So what we did is I worked with retired teachers at the time, and we came up with hundreds of what we called nuggets. But they are mind, heart, and body activities that take people through an initial challenge. And then, like we were saying with the hula hoop, we give a challenge that changes it, and then talking points for the parents. And so it's called the Fossa Nuggets of Fun. So you go in and you're like, I've got 2 kids, I need a half an hour and they need to move. So I need a body activity. And this thing goes boop, super simple. They're all tied to points. So if your kids are giving you a hard time, you're like, okay, well, if you get these 200 points, you can blah, blah, blah. And we give suggestions of rewards, but we actually leave it up to the parents because you know what makes your kids tick.
Right.
So you set up rewards you're going to give them anyway. You're just incentivizing them with points, and how they get the points is playing. So we're building the imagination muscle. The other part of the app, which I really like, are called the quick hits. And that's for like when you're in the car, you're standing in line at the grocery store, you want to talk to your kids about something, or you just need peace by yourself. They are simple quick hits that you go in and we just say, here's something you can give to your kids for 5 minutes. Or you're in the doctor's office and it's like, you can do this right here in the office with no materials. So that's the idea. I wanted to arm myself and now parents today with things that are super simple. And this is stuff like hot lava monster. You're just not thinking about this because your kids are annoying you. You don't want them to that's the moment that you were put them on the screen because they're annoying you. I want you to grab the app and give them an activity.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it works. So
Mm-hmm.
those are 2 tools. And then in that app, they can pick an avatar. I mean, the avatar doesn't really do anything, but it's one of my 7 characters. So they can pick one of those 7 characters that represents them. And hopefully that will draw them to the books. So they're getting reading in as well, because that's very good for your imagination.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the planet Fossa right now. And you asked me what I'm doing for adults. I developed a course called Break the Chain. We are in the middle of changing it because I taught the course. I taught all about the algorithms and the engineers that I told you
Right.
behind the phone. Really gave people information so they could be set free. I gave them challenges. What happened though is we got away from each other after the challenge and they felt themselves being drawn back in. So I'm redoing it to create a community where people can depend on each other and keep themselves going.
Mm-hmm.
So that will come back. And then I have a new podcast coming out eventually for millennial moms because they're my real target because they're the parents of the young kids right now. So I want to
Mm-hmm.
help them compete with technology, kind of calm down their nervous system so they're more present and feeling better so they can do this for their kids. So that's my whole thing.
Well, I'm excited because as a grandma and with my children, and they're having kids right now, and they've got young
Oh,
ones, and so like, yay!
lots of
when
nuggets
they
of fun. It's going to be
right
amazing.
when they come to my house, I'm like, Grandma's got something for you.
Yeah.
Because well, and it's true, right? Because so much is geared around the screens nowadays. To have
Yeah.
something as an alternative to
Well,
help
yeah, it's hard to
parents,
compete.
it's gonna be
And
good. Yeah.
yeah, and I'm not saying it's easy to compete. I'm not saying parenting is easy, but we can get these tools. And as we've said over and over again during the show, if you get the kids playing, their imagination will grow. They will want to play more because at the end of the day, your kids want to play.
Yeah.
They do. There's just this addicting thing getting in their way.
Hmm. And it's even the teenagers. Because I will
Mhm.
say this year because they haven't implemented the law yet, but they did come up with a requirement for our districts in our school. If and next year it'll be even the high school has to, but it's been bell to bell. And we have had less fights in the hallways.
Oh, yeah.
I have seen much more conversations. I've seen kids talking to each other more. I have seen such a difference academically in what
Mm.
they're doing as well, that it we will help. And it
It
doesn't take long
it doesn't
to
take
start
long.
working.
I think what happens is that, and I've talked to some moms, I think what we do is we think that to get the kids having fun, we have to stoke this giant fire and keep the fire going, and we get tired, and how am I gonna do that? You don't have to do that. You just have to light the spark, and
Mhm.
then his imagination will just go nuts. And if you can light the spark, I'm, plugging my app, but anyway, if you can light the spark every day, they'll take the fire. You don't have to have this whole elaborate thing set up for them. They're kids.
And that exactly, and that's the thing too, so many grief when had young kids, that was the thing, is like, and there was all these things for you to do with your kids and all, it was like so elaborate and so, I'm like,
Yes.
that was exhausting to train
It's
them, like,
exhausting.
and you felt like you were a bad parent because you're not doing all these things, and like, dude, my mom was like, "Here's some Play-Doh that we made by
Yeah. Here's
ourselves
your
with
here's your
flour.
hula hoop.
Here's
Here's
your hula hoop."
yeah.
It's like, go simple and get the things out of their way too, because we can take that obstruction out of their way. We
Yeah.
can take the thing that's in their front of their face and say, "Nope." And
Nope. And I think, and I love to say this, but the best thing you can do is be okay with your kids being bored and mad at you. We'll be okay. Yes.
yeah, I'm a bad mom because I love you so much that I'm gonna make
Yeah.
you, and I say
Yeah.
that to my kids too. I'm like, I'm a bad teacher. I'm a mean teacher. I am going to make you think. I'm going to make you do
I'm gonna make
things.
you do that. Yeah,
I'm
but
so
you'll love
mean.
me you'll love me later. You
I'm a
will look
horrible
back and
person,
you will remember me.
right? And it's hard now, and it's hard for them. I don't care because I know what it's gonna be because I'm old
Yes.
enough now. But I remember,
It's
it's
yeah, it is hard, but like I said, if they're bored, we talked about that earlier, that's the petri dish for creativity, right? And them being mad at you, they'll learn how to deal with that emotion,
yep.
and they'll be like, "Oh, this isn't that bad." And you'll realize they still love you. My kids were mad at me all the time, now they wanna be around me all the time. So I'm like, "Okay, see?" Yeah.
They do grow up and they figure things out and it's okay. But yeah, it's just, and I think the generation of parents now did never had to learn that themselves in a lot of ways. And so they have a hard time being okay with those emotions and
You know
those
what?
things too. And so this is
You
good for
just
them to learn.
You hit the nail on the head, and that's kinda why, as a Gen Xer, I'm going to help the millennials because I'm like, "You guys didn't learn how to do this."
Yeah.
And it feels really bad. It feels bad from a Gen Xer whose parents were like, "We don't cry," you know?
Right.
Like, "Okay."
It's okay to cry. But,
Yeah.
but
"No, you're crying." And I'm like, it was even hard for me, and that's how I was raised. I can't
right.
imagine not
I think we can
having
find some balance in here. I think we can go
yeah,
to the
I
middle.
know, we need a balance. We need a balance, yeah, for sure.
That's I
Love
think
my
where we're at is we just need to figure out how we can balance both ends.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. From like yeah, so it's wonderful. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I'll learn a lot on the way with the way they were raised compared to the way we were raised.
We
Yeah,
can write a whole paper and a whole new thing on that. We're done. So,
perfect.
where can we buy or get or find your things so that and follow you so we can get involved, get the help, and get these resources,
Yeah.
and then hopefully follow you through your journey as well?
Yes, thank you. So everything is at sscoulter.com. So I'll spell it. S is in Shannon. S again is in Shannon, but it's Sue. So Shannon Sue, SS Coulter, COULTER.com. So if you go out there, all my socials are linked from there and everything. And it's just going to be a really exciting adventure. We're just in beta testing for the app because I wanted to make sure I'm actually having it beta tested by 15 millennial moms. I wanted to make sure it was right for them
Mhm.
because, I'm old.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I wanted to make sure it was right for them and their kids. So it's in beta testing. It will be out this summer, and 4 of my books are out on Amazon, and we'll revamp the coaching. I want to make sure that when we finish, you're still supported. So we're going to do it a little bit differently. And I'm super excited about all this. I love talking to you because I can hear your passion for this, and I think a lot of people have passion. We just need to lock arms and make it happen, and I know we can do it. We've done it with other things, so we'll do it with this too.
We're not alone in this,
Mhm.
and we're not alone in our frustrations. We're not alone in our desires to help things. And you're right. We just need to figure out we're not alone and come together.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
yeah.
That is awesome. I am so excited. Summer will be the perfect time for this to come out for all those bored kids that
Yes.
need to be bored and do something with them and help our parents through this summer and getting things. Is there a final last message that you want to leave with us and send us away with as we go forward for this episode?
Yeah, I think we said it together. I think we all just need to have more fun. Yeah,
My
I really do.
have fun. That is a truth. And parents, we can have fun as
We don't have
well.
to be perfect, just have fun.
Right?
Yeah.
It's sometimes the best fun is in the imperfection. So
For sure.
enjoy that part of it. That is so cool. It has been a pleasure so much, Shannon, visiting with you and ranting with you. If you ever want to get a rant again, let's do this. It
Absolutely.
was great. And everyone go out, follow her, get the books to help your kids, follow for the app to be coming soon, and hopefully the podcast that will help us, all generations,
Yes.
help our kids, help ourselves become better people and get off these addicting devices and use them as a tool and not be a slave to them any further. I hope. And thank you so much, Shannon. And we'll see you next time on Roundy's Rants, Raves, and Reviews. Know you're loved, everyone. Stop.
Oh, that was
Yes.
great.
So much ranting. I love it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Oh my gosh, my lawn was being mowed in the middle of
Oh,
it.
no. I didn't hear anything.
Are
So
you
you're
okay?
good.
I
Yep.
was like, I'm just gonna ignore it. It was like, like,
Didn't hear any of
okay.
it. It's great.
Like, what timing?
These microphones are getting better at it.
You're
So,
so good. Yeah, what timing? I was like, perfect. Yeah, 6 o'clock at night.
well, our imaginations will just go with the flow.
Yeah, that was excellent. I'm so happy to have met you.
Me too. Keep me
Sure.
posted. And if you want, when you get it out and rolling, if you want to get on and do anything more or rant about anything
Sure.
else,
Would
please
love
let
it.
me know.
Love the ranting. I really loved hearing what you're seeing with the change in schools. And I have a blog and I might want to just reach out and like maybe write one with you because
Absolutely.
your testimony is what people need to hear.
And I will testify
Yeah.
so much
Yeah,
about
for
it.
sure. So I will be in touch with that because I can't say anything to it because I'm not there. But hearing you say there's less fights, that's the real thing. That's proof in the pudding, as they say, whatever that means. I
It is
really know
true,
what that
right?
means.
It's in there somewhere. And the mess.
It's
It's
upsetting.
got it.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you so much. And I will look forward to that. Yeah, reach out anytime. I'm happy to help however I can.
Okay. Thank you for having me. I really
Thank
appreciate it.
you. Have a
Yes.
good day.
Okay. Thank you. You too.
You too. Bye.
Bye.